with that 2-0 win. And this is the third smallest country in Africa, the smallest in terms of population, just 883,000 that has ever played in AFCON. And they really took Morocco down to the wire, so give them a lot of credit. You'll see they have Zambia and Mali coming up. Let's get a little bit more information and his take on how this all went down. And Mbizo Mzamane is with us, our CAF correspondent. And Mbizo, welcome. Glad to talk to you once again. A great start here for Morocco in a lot of ways. It was tight. It was a nail-biter. But what did you make of the way that this team with so much expectation was able to get the result?
I think they'll be happy with the result, right? I mean, it was a 2-0 win. At the end of the day, a professional performance. But I do believe that maybe some of the fans would have expected to see a little bit more from the squad. I think in the first half, they struggled to break down Comoros, who, to their credit, were extremely organized, extremely physical, and quite courageous, as a matter of fact. So I thought that they were absolutely brilliant, and they have nothing to be ashamed of. Morocco, again, will be thrilled with the result. 3 points, but I think they'll understand that in order to be victorious in this competition against some of the giants that they will face, including a very complicated and talented Mali team, they may need to perform a little bit better. So for me, they didn't penetrate as much as they would have liked in the first half, but in the second half, whatever Walida Regragui said to them in the change room, I think it worked. They came out with more intensity. They were able to get the crowd back on their side, who seemed to have been losing some patience, and it was an all-around a good start. And of course, that's spectacular goal, already a candidate for goal of the tournament.
And Mbizo, talk to me more about that goal, and talk to me more about the man who scored it, Ayoub El Kaabi. We were in the group chat, and yes, the world, we do have an AFCON vibes group chat, and we were all saying, like, my word, what a goal and what a player.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's no surprise, really, that he's scoring goals like that, because I believe he was Morocco's top goal scorer over the qualifying section, if I'm not mistaken. And he's a top-class player. As you mentioned it yourself, that he's doing wonders at Olympiacos now. And so I think it capped off now what was a really good and more dominating second-half performance. And again, it's the kind of goal, I think, that will not just lift the team, but I think lift the nation. I think there will be a renewed excitement, a renewed confidence, a renewed passion in supporting the team that might have been waning. Yes, it was only one half, but when the expectations are as high as I think Morocco has put them, we have put them as the media, the world has put them, then there'll always be a little bit of pressure there. But that was a masterful goal, and I think maybe he's earned himself a start. I wasn't too thrilled, I think, with Brahimi. So perhaps he's the guy moving forward.
Yeah, certainly didn't help to miss the penalty. But Mbizo, Morocco now does get the 3 points. It's the beginning that they won. But from what you've seen from this 90 minutes, how they faced a Comoros team that, of course, they have a talent advantage over, are they still the favorite in your mind to take home AFCON at home?
I think it would be too soon to delete them from that list of favorites, but I'll reiterate that they'll know this, and all of us, I think, who watch the game will also understand this, that in order to get all the way to the final in a grueling AFCON competition, despite this incredible team sheet that you're showing here, the depth, which we saw on display, I mean, the players that were coming off the bench against Comoros were absolutely unbelievable. You still have to play ball. You still have to play that 90 minutes. And I joked with Mikey again in the WhatsApp group. I said, Comoros and other African nations weren't there when they beat Spain. They weren't there during their exploits in the World Cup. So they're not really too interested. They didn't get the memo. So Morocco will have to prove they're the favorites with some commandeering performances. And certainly they're going to have an opportunity to do that already against Mali, who for me is a top team, potentially a dark horse, even though they disappointed in the last section. So in the last competition, excuse me. So again, still a favorite, but we'll have to improve the performances to get to the end.
Tell us more about Comoros, a team that I don't think a lot of people have seen, certainly here in the U.S. Is this a side that you think can advance to the knockout stages? Tell me just a little bit more about them.
Unfortunately, I don't believe that they have an opportunity to get to the next round, but I do certainly believe that no matter what happens with the Comoros, that they'll be received as heroes back home. Obviously, it's their first AFCON. And for me, they proved that they didn't get here by accident. I mean, the way that they played together, the way that they showed resilience against this incredibly talented and deep Moroccan squad, I think it's a testament to not only the team, but I think to the people, resilient people who've gone through quite a lot, actually, socioeconomically, including a cyclone, I think, recently that hit some of the agricultural sectors, which is, the main economic source for Comoros. And I think that they demonstrated that cultural consciousness of resilience, of being able to overcome, of courage. They demonstrated that on the field today, and their players were incredibly physical against Morocco, showed a lot of courage, and really a proper African football team. And so it was a delight to see them, and I'm very proud as a Pan-African to see minnows like Comoros getting to AFCON and having a good account of themselves as Comoros did.
Yeah, there's no question. Looking forward to watching them and the rest of the group stage. Mbizo, thank you so much for joining us and giving a little input on what we're going to see the rest of the way here in AFCON.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. I'm around for a month.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking to Mbizo a lot more. Yeah. Mike, this is expected, certainly, for Morocco to be able to get all 3 points here to start things off. From what you saw, though, where are areas of improvement, especially with Hakimi? We don't exactly know how he's going to fare the rest of this group stage.
I think from a psychological standpoint, that was always going to be the litmus test, and I think that's what everyone is looking at, is how do you cope with the pressure? You go back to the last World Cup, right? There was no expectation. There hasn't been this level of expectation on Morocco ever. And so now you go beyond the project and you ask yourself, okay, where are they going to evolve? I've always thought that Morocco's biggest strengths is twofold. The passion and pride that they have when they put on the national team jersey. And you look at some of these players who, I look at a player like Sofiane Amrabat, who didn't do the business when he played for Manchester United. He was a failure there. I hate to use that word, but it was a failed experience for him. Hasn't looked like himself when he went to Fenerbahce, but as soon as he puts on the national team jersey, he had what I thought was a man-of-the-match performance for Morocco today. And it's strength in numbers, it's the collective, but the biggest thing about Morocco now, the recruitment has just really brought about this sense of depth about the team. And I look down at the bench, I look at their manager in Walid Regragui. When he looks down at his bench at halftime, he can go, I'm going to call out the names. Ayoub El Kaabi comes on, scores a worldie, and that goal is Puskas Award winning worthy. I'm going to tell you right now, that should win the Puskas Award. Youssef El Nasiri has won the Europa League. Bilal El Khanous, Abde Ezazouli. I mean, these are big players who are becoming main players for their club teams. And now we're seeing it on the international stage. Morocco's good, man. They're scary good.
You know what? And I wonder if this could be a real X factor in goal, having Bono there. Of course, he was so great for Al Hilal in the Club World Cup this past summer. We saw him make some massive saves because Comoros kept coming at them. They were not afraid of this really talented Moroccan side.
I think there's a bit of nerves there for Morocco. I mean, it's the second time they've ever hosted the African Cup of Nations, and it's been a hell of a long time since they've won the damn thing. And so when you watch some of the host countries, there's always this sense of nerves. That first goal is the most important thing. And for it to come from a player like Brahim Díaz, a player who, when I looked at the numbers, it had been 18 matches since he had last scored a goal for club and country. Sometimes as a footballer, when you go away from a club where it's not happening for you, like Real Madrid, where there's so much scrutiny, there's so much pressure, there's so much dysfunction and toxicity at your club, playing for your national team can be paradise. And for Diaz to get that goal, it could be the beginning of a paradise experience in Africa.
Well, hopefully for the Atlas Lions, they're looking for just their second AFCON trophy. Mike said it was a hell of a long time. It was 1976. So, yeah, I think that qualifies as a hell of a long time.